Dear friends, we are happy again to be here to ponder on the importance of seeking our own self. We have to seek our own self. In the spiritual search, the very important and special reality is seeking the self within, our own true self. In this search, the human life is the process of knowing itself. For us, the human persons, our growth expands the knowledge of our personality. As we grow, we expand the knowledge of our personality. As we grow, thus we come to know of our true self. As we grow, that is very important thing. We have to grow as a normal human person. That normal human personal growth leads us to aware of our own self. Who am I? That is very important thing we have to inquire. If I am only the body, or the mind, or a being, communion with the world, or any other created reality. If I am none of these, then comes the question, who am I? Who am I? After negating all the above mentioned as not this, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the world, I am not like any other creature. Like that, if we are able to say, then what is that? There comes the awareness. I am not this, I am not that, I am not like others. That the very self of knowing I am not leads me to go beyond that. There comes the real awareness of ourself. Awareness which alone reminds that I am. I am is the awareness. At the same time, because of our limited capacity, we are in relationship with other realities. The nature of awareness is existence. The nature of our awareness is our existence. It is the consciousness of our self. The self forms and reforms its being in different ways, different needs. It is difficult from the physical body. It is different from the different physical body, our own vital energy, the senses and the mind. The self is different from the physical body, our vital energy, the senses and the mind. Even our own ego is not the self. The ego or our own I-ness is an idea only. I am like this, I am like that, I behave like this. These are all purely mental, purely mental. Being in a mental reality, mental state, it cannot be the self. What exists in truth is the self alone, the self alone. The world, the individual soul and God are appearances of the self. They are appear as such, but we got to go beyond the realities. The self is that where there is absolutely no I thought. The self is that where there is absolutely no I thought. It is called the pure silence. The self itself is the world. The self itself is the I. The self itself is God. All is God, the self, the supreme self, the inner self. Who am I? This is a very important question we have to make. It is the fundamental question we have to ask ourselves. Have you ever asked yourself, who am I really? When we ask, we will have different answers. Someone would say, I am a father, I am a husband, I am a friend, I am an engineer, or I am a sick person, like that. The truth is that you are a father when? If you have a son. You are a husband because you have a wife. You are a teacher because you have a student. They are in relationship. So, all our identities, everything we believe to be, are all depend on something else. All depend on something else. Our relationship we make with the external realities is the basis for these identities. We identify ourselves with other realities, how we are related with them. So, again we have to ask, going beyond all these relationships, who are you, who am I? It is the challenge of our human life. Jesus said, ask and you will be given. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you. We have to ask, we have to seek and find within ourselves to know the true self. We have to ask, seek and find within ourselves to know the true self. The Isha Upanishad says very beautifully, he who sees all things in the self and the self in all beings hates no one. He who sees all beings in the self and the self in all beings hates no one. It is possible for us to hate others only when that awareness of unity is not there. If the awareness of unity is there, I cannot hate anyone. Our awareness of the presence of the self in all beings, everyone dear to us. The awareness of the presence of the self in all beings makes everyone dear to us. The spiritual goal of humanity is to experience this divine self within and without. The spiritual goal of humanity is to experience this divine self within and without. The person who has no fixed purpose in this life is lost in himself. To be everywhere is to be nowhere. To be here and now with consciousness is to attain the truth of our self. self. To be here and now, with all our, even with all our limited qualities, limited capacities, we have to be here and now with consciousness is to attain the true self. We have the sickness of imaginary storytelling that everything has gone worse. Nothing is good. As social persons, we are identified with our country, culture, and time. We are committed to live according to the culture and social needs of our place. But everyone has been made with a purpose. The desire to attain that purpose should be the norm of human life. One must first be who you really are. Who you really are. Then do what you need to do in order to have what you want. You must first be who you really are. Then do what you need to do in order to have what you want to attain. Do we know the values of human growth? That is very important thing. All our activities should emerge from the needs of progress, the needs of seeking, the needs of growth. By living our life in a meaningful manner means we have to give life to the coming generation. We have to give life to the coming generation. By not knowing the answer to the question, who am I? By not knowing the answer to the question, who am I, you keep on creating new identities of yourself, consequently going further away from your true self. We go on creating new identities of ourselves, consequently going further away from our true self. All the sufferings in this life is because not of knowing our true identity. All the sufferings in this life, maybe physical, psychological, even spiritual, are because of not knowing our true identity. Unless you realize your true self, you believe yourself to be the name or the external that has been given to you. Until you realize your true self, you believe yourself to be in the name, in the form, or the external realities that has been given to you. But our true self is beyond that physical nature. In reality, you are an eternal reality. You are an eternal reality. For infinite past, the soul has been hidden beneath a veil of ignorance. For infinite past, the soul has been hidden beneath a veil of ignorance. Due to this, we have been unable to experience the true self. As long as we are in ignorance, we are not able to experience the true self. The grace of the master or a guru, it is possible to realize your true self. The grace of the master, it is possible we can understand the true self by means of a scientific process called self-realization. We should be led by someone who is experienced in the spiritual path. If we have that inner aptitude or quality, we can really understand all the external realities in one or another way may help us to go beyond this limitedness. Therefore, you are not only understand that you are a pure reality, but you also experience your truthfulness. This not knowing itself, this also the real experience of bliss and joy. The initial object of self-consciousness is to achieve the experience of our own limitations. We have to understand our own limitations in ourselves and eventually to reach a state of inner and outer calmness and balance. If you are able to realize our own limitations, then we really have a certain inner capacity to balance ourselves. This is achieved when one becomes engrossed in the feelings of the limitations within. The world is not going to give all the realities. The world is now facing serious problems which threaten the humanity. It is just the right time for everyone to take part, to go deeper within through meditation and learn how to find a deep pool of quiet or quietness in the midst of all that is happening today. If you are able to understand our own limitations, at the same time if you are able to feel the inner joy, that we are in calm and quiet and serene attitude. The limitation is inside of everyone. It is our own nature. It is within each of every body, every human reality. Just a look into oneself and that is the limitation to be experienced, to be understood. If you are able to look into oneself, ourselves, then we really understand our own limitations. According to our masters, the experience of our limitation is the gem of life. To attain the calmness and balanced energy for his own well-being and for the welfare of all society. Here, the self-awareness is knowing our own limitations. It gives us the energy to attain the calmness of ourselves, to balance all our energies for the welfare of our own being and for the good of others. That is to say, this awareness of our limitation should go on from moment to moment, from time to time, so continuously as not to allow for the interpolation of any discursive or distracting thoughts. So it has to be go on within us. We should not allow anything to interfere of these discursive and distressing thoughts, which are definitely determinal to progress. So if we allow our own thought or distracting elements, it may not allow us to go deeper within us. In case this is not possible, we have to go back to respiration, mindfulness or concentration, because meditation is the key to contemplation of our own limitations. So here there should be a balanced growth attitude. First of all, we should understand our own limitations. Otherwise, if something is coming to interfere us, we should be very careful. It may not help us to grow, but naturally we are not willing to accept our own limitations. We think, I am great, I am such a person, I have all the capacities. Like that we think in relation with some other external realities. But they may be right or they may be wrong, but still we are beyond that to know our own limitations. The aim of righteous living is to remove the roots of defilement from our mind. The aim of righteous life is to remove the roots of all the defilements from our mind. Through practices, one soon realizes when the root is, what the root is, where the root is, where suffering is coming from, in reaction of all cravings or aversion to sensation within the body. If one learns to maintain the equanimity within the wisdom of our own limitation or impermanence, one emerges from the unhealthy habit of reacting, and the entire mind is purified. We never react, but we accept, and we are able to purify ourselves. Understanding this, one will practice properly and give importance only to the essence of righteous living. It is the Dharma, it is the Dhamma. They may not give other importance to external realities or superficial matters. And the service of such a person will be within the helping and mentality of the people. Whoever serves must become strongly established in the righteousness. Our service is our life. That is why whoever serves must become strongly established in righteousness or in Dharma or in Dhamma, and as one does so, all attachment to sects, theories and rituals are left behind. We go beyond all these mentalities of sects, philosophies or theories or ritual practices. One then sees that righteousness is the way of life. Living in peace with oneself and with others. Our actions must be pure, and this is possible only when the mind is freed of all defilements such as anger, hatred, passion and ill will, etc. When these are eliminated, good qualities naturally arise in the mind: love, compassion, goodwill, etc. This is the righteous living. This is the universal path. There we really understand the path of consciousness, the path of oneself. Remember that an empty vessel has nothing to offer others. Therefore, we got to fill ourselves with the righteous life, then we may be available as conscious person to others. Discover real peace and harmony within yourself, and naturally this will overflow to benefit other persons. Discover, we have to discover our real peace and harmony within ourselves. Naturally this will overflow to help others in their realization. May you keep walking on the path of righteousness for your own good, for your own happiness, for your own liberation and for the good happiness, liberation of many. It will be the real sign you are for others. May you keep walking on the path of righteousness for your own good and happiness and liberation, and it will be for the good of others. It will be for the good of happiness of others and liberation of many persons. To attain the consciousness of the self, we have to concentrate on the following stages of life. First of all, we should have some value formation. Secondly, we have some integration of the external faculties and the internal faculties. We should have some interior concentration. It leads us to the consciousness of the self, the consciousness of the inner realities, and to experience the bliss within us. So that is the real search of our own self. We have to search, we have to know who am I, we have to know our limitations in relation with our world and going beyond the relations of external realities. Then we really understand that we are conscious and going within us. With that very consciousness, we help others. Let us have this real search of inner peace and calmness. O Supreme Graceful Light, justice, love and peace be in all beings. Be well, be well, be well. Thank you.